is Zoe, and a dark cosmic entity descended upon Earth to destroy us all. And that's why Captain Malik had to take a day off to actually take care of that. And I will be taking over his high post duty for today. And honestly, looking at the matches we got coming up for you, it should be fairly easy to get everyone in here hyped up, as every single match, in fact, will have an impact on the Stage 3 playoffs, which, by the way, are already happening next week. Darn, time flies when you're having fun. Are you guys ready for the action tonight? Well, so am I, so I will be channeling my inner Solik so we can get this payload moving.
Crushing the intros, and here on the desk today, we got a diamond and a top 500 player. Of course, I moved up to diamond. We got a top 500 crumbs and Johnny on the tower once again.
Oh man, finishing the season like that,
yeah,
that's
that was rough.
Come on, Johnny. All right,
Winston in this meta, man. May Reaper, what are you gonna do?
He's playing Tracer and not Reinhardt.
That is
clearly the issue. We got 3 great games coming your way today. It's Saturday. It's the final day of Week 4. Make some noise, Blizzard Arena, because today we're bringing you some big ones. We got Seoul versus New York in our middle match. Philly still in the playoff hunt, but we kick things off here with the San Francisco Shock, who is going up against London, trying to defend their spot in our Stage 3 playoffs. Now let's start right here with San Fran going up against London. As we take a look at the overall standings here, we're in a bit of a different place. London's still in the running for the season playoffs. You can see, though, they've currently dropped down to that 4th place.
Yeah, and this is really going to matter for London because they are out of Stage 3 playoffs, but for the main ones, they've slipped in the rankings. They really cannot afford to take any more losses. Otherwise, they will be, well, possibly losing that playoff spot.
Yeah, you don't want to fall out of that top 6 in the Stage 3 standings, though. You can see London has fallen much below that. They're currently at 9th. Meanwhile, the Shock, one of the surprises, was as high as 4th, currently sitting in 6th place.
Yes, and they are still in the running. They're playing Florida and Houston as well, a very winnable game. So if they get a win here today, they could be in the stage playoffs. Unexpected, really. But you gotta give it to them, the way they've improved with the new players.
If San Francisco is going to get the win today, boys, who are you looking at? Who's going to be their star player to watch?
Well, we usually talk a lot about Dante, but I'm gonna hype up Architect today because his Widowmaker has been insane. Like, he's not maybe a Saya player, but he has to be Super Saiyan player today.
Oh, Dragon Ball
So Architect is going to be my man of the match, the guy we're looking out for today. Just these shots is amazing. He hit the tire just straight after the ward this as well. So really on his Widowmaker, on the Genji, he has to turn up in my opinion and actually outsnipe Hureg on London Spitfire.
Yeah, these aren't even impressive. After we see Saya player now, the standard for what I expected of a Widowmaker is incomparable.
And Architect was hitting some nasty criticals in his last match. His overall crit accuracy around 13, as he will be going up against Hureg in that Widowmaker role today.
Yeah, and just looking at the Widowmaker, you can see the KD as well. Architect 1.2 and then Hureg 0.64. So really Architect has the advantage in this duel specifically, and that could be so big for them.
Now, of course, we highlighted Hureg. He is going to be filling in the shoes of Bird Rings today, but the guy that is old faithful for this London Spitfire squad, if you look at their DPS duo, Prophet has been a big fixture of this team since day 1 of the league.
Absolutely. Yes, when we look at Architect taking on Hureg, you give the advantage to the San Francisco Shock, but now Prophet is going to be the man of the hour. If London is going to win, it will have to be because Prophet had an amazing game. When San Francisco played New York, Sabiobi gave them so much trouble onto the Tracer, and if Prophet has a similar showing today, I think that San Francisco is going to have a hard time.
Johnny, looking at the maps, we got Volskaya, Numbani, Ilya's Route 66. Let's talk about this matchup. We highlighted Prophet, but on the other side, we know there's some depth on the Tracer. Sinatra for the Shock. You got Dante that can run it. What do you want to see from Prophet today?
Actually, I'm not really sure what we were going to expect here. Like Dante and Sinatra, they play very different styles. Sinatra more fighting in the back line, and then they have Dante hitting up the tanks of Gesture. And we know Gesture is a really good main tank in the Overwatch League. So maybe you want to pull out Dante and shut Gesture down because you're not really scared of Hureg as much.
I like it. All right, let's get into the predictions. The match is about to kick off. Let's make it official, starting with you, Crumbs. We got San Fran at number 6. You got number 9 in the Spitfire. Where do you go today?
Well, so looking at the maps, it it looks like London has already played 3 out of the 4 maps they play up against San Francisco right now, and because of that, I have to give the advantage over to them. I still think that they are a top squad, and Profit's Tracer, I think, is going to prove way too much for San Francisco to handle. I think London has this one.
Johnny, are you going with the squad that hates to be called San Fran, this San Francisco Shock?
Do they?
You know, I went to the cafeteria, I got my lunch today, and I ran into the San Francisco Shock. I talked with Super, I spoke with Dante, and I asked them, how are you going to fare today? And they both said, easy 4-0. Easy 4-0, and I said, that's very unrealistic. So I'm going with the London Spitfire today. They're 8-0 on Nonbani, and I think if it goes to Oasis, even if San Francisco takes 2 maps, London Spitfire has it on Oasis, so I'm going with London Spitfire.
I love the signs in the venue, and I love the kid up here who just booed you wearing the Shock shirt. Guys, are you ready to meet our teams? It's time to kick off match number 1 of the day as we bring out our first squad from the Bay. It's the San Francisco Shock. Sinatra, you remember this guy from Team USA at the World Cup. He's been switching in and out with Dante today. He's in the starting lineup alongside Architect.
And I think Sinatra is a great adaptation here because on Volskaya we'll normally see Dante starting, but they realized that the Tracer duo was just way too much. Sinatra is here to deal with Profit. If he can keep him in check, I think Architect will have the advantage against Kurek, and San Francisco will be able to make things work for a win.
Absolutely, and when you play the Widowmaker on Volskaya, I think that Sinatra might team up with Super as well to get those Tracer and Winston dives going. You want to get into the backline and shut down the enemy Zenyatta, the enemy Mercy, and then maybe you can have Nevix on the Diva support, your main DPS player, Architect, on the Widowmaker. So maybe we'll see them split up a bit, and I think this Sinatra pick is telling that they're going to hunt for the backline.
This team is so exciting, right? They've struggled in Stage 1, they struggled in Stage 2, but here in Stage 3, they have all the pieces they wanted.
That's
You got the full squad ready to go. Sleepy, getting his blanket ready. Ready to put some people to sleep. Is he on the Ana or all Zenyatta today?
I mean, it's all about the Zenyatta, right? His right clicks has been sensational this season throughout, and he's hyped up really as one of the most underrated Zenyatta players in the league if you're asking the other players. So we could see some nice right clicks coming out of Sleepy today.
And we never talk enough about Andreas, but keep your eyes on the Diva, one of the best. Nevix, the Swede, gonna try and get the job done today, going up against the London Spitfire. Where's he from, Johnny?
He's from Sweden.
Sweden, that's right, that's right. That's a look at your San Francisco Shock. It's time to introduce their opponents. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, your London Spitfire. Out comes Fury once again. No Woo-Y'all today. It looks like Fury's going to be running that Diva role. Profit right behind him. And then, of course, Gesture, one of the best main tanks in the game.
Absolutely, and we've talked about this team a lot, and it seems like they've settled for their 6-man core. Woo-Y'all usually a bit more aggressive, so they're pulling out Fury. He's a bit more passive, and he helps Gesture out, and also it supports Hurek on the Widowmaker. So in their last game, we saw them being really passive and really holding back versus the Gladiators, and it maybe hurt them a little bit. So I want them to step up the tempo today a bit. Even if Fury is the more passive Diva, you need to actually fight with the enemy tanks and hunt them down.
And I love that Fury bought the Selmar glasses. Nice and round Ohos today. There's a look at Gesture right now, but Crumbs, when you're looking at this London squad, what gets you excited?
Well, what gets me excited is that they're likely not going to be misstepping off the payload today. When they played against the
Are you sure about that?
They had 3 or 4 ties.
That's a bold prediction.
Lost, but it's a bold one. I'm hoping they do it this time. But Bedosin getting that meditation ready, you know he's not in a bad mood. This guy's so happy.
He's like, I'm going to right-click so many people today. It's going to be awesome. Yeah. Can't wait for it. Closer, though, what is this guy's role on the team, Johnny, for anyone watching for the first time?
Well, they've talked about Closer as like to setting up the fights. Usually we see on Nuss on the Lucio role, of course, but he doesn't talk as much. So Closer, he likes to set up the fights and communicate. How are we going to use our ultimates? How are we going to approach the next fight? So Closer brings some bit more coordination to the team.
London Spitfire, Stage 1 champions. They were in the playoffs for Stage 2. Not in the running here for Stage 3, but looking to play spoiler against the Shock today. Our match is ready. Are you guys ready, Blizzard Arena? Let's send it over to our caster duo. We got the great Sexler in the back.
Oh, wait, hey, everybody, we're here. How's it going? Thank you, Puggett. I mean, we all, Hex and I, we really just start waving our arms around, when it's time to go live, trying to get all warmed up and ready to go because, it is the first match of the day.
Like an inflatable dude at a used car lot. Wacky arm inflatable tube man.
Or bread. That's fine. Or bread.
Or some sort of Muppet.
I love Johnny, though, just straight throwing the San Francisco Shock guys under the bus. They were in here, Johnny. You're a dead man. Like, last time we talked to Johnny, and Sleepy's over here like, He's done.
Long story short, you are dead to them. We're going to go to Volskaya first off. This is going to be a really interesting match. I mean, if you had told me a couple weeks ago that San Francisco versus London was going to matter for a whole lot, I would have said something a little different. I thought London was going to be better, but they've been struggling this stage. San Francisco has been playing nothing but better. Even if the results don't bear out, I think everyone in the league that I've talked to says San Francisco is getting better. It's scarier, and a lot depends on Architect.
Well, he certainly brings that punch.
Yes.
I mean, the main thing and this is across all competition, right? You got to account for injury. And every now and again, it's going to happen, and your team has to bounce back from that, has to adjust around it. And why I bring that up is, Birdring with his wrist still going to sit out this stage. That is going to force London to try and play around that, and they have been struggling because of it. I mean, Birdring is not a guy you want to be on the bench. You want him in there doing damage.
Yeah, it's very difficult to step into his shoes. Hureg has tried his best to do it. Hureg has great performances, so there's performances where he just disappears, and it seems already London's having to play around this. His Prophet is going to be on the Widow instead of Hureg. They will swap those roles off back and forth, but Architect for the San Francisco Shock is the new DPS that you want to be looking out for. And why I love Architect, and I think this is the trend we're going to be seeing, it's wonderful to have your Widow and Genji be on the same person when you need to make that switch.
Yeah, there's that versatility. Let's go action minute as San Francisco Shock will be starting on the offense as the away team. London Spitfire on the home team will be on the defense. Volskaya going to be the first point, and already we got some damage going on here between Sinatra and Hureg poking around on the flanks.
Yeah, right side flanks, tanks will just poke in as well. This is just going to be a tickle battle on the point until someone decides to engage. They're just going to back out right now. San Francisco used to not really run a Widow on this map. They had to run a Tracer Sombra and just try to get to the back line. So now a new style comes in now that you have a very capable Widow in Architect. Still no kills yet as Sinatra's in the back line.
Buddy, yeah, Sinatra really putting the pressure on, and it's going to be super. There to jump on Gesture, the res goes off, but that forces it. Sinatra looking to try and capitalize on everybody being so grouped up, and he just wishes he had a pulse bomb right now. That could have been brutal.
It might not matter because those are huge kills from Nevix, the silent man, the forgotten one oftentimes on this roster, one of the most consistently good divas in the league. He will add in another and they clean it up.
Yeah, perfect. Look at Architect though, man, just going to town. Long range, exactly where he wants to be. Chaos, and he just gets to shoot at will.
The only person who died in that push for San Francisco was Super, but that's fine with Winston's. Nowadays, the style is go in, get that extra tick even if you're going to die, because we need those last little ticks of damage to clean up fights, and you have to be willing to sacrifice your own stats and your own life, spend some more time in respawn to be able to get those last bits of damage in.
What I wanted to comment on before the action actually kicked off is, yeah, Super, he's up there soaking. That made such a big difference as far as Moth was concerned. He had Valk so early in the fight, and he held on to it. So now they have Valk for this next push if they want it, but they're getting beheaded.
That's really important for London to be able to win that fight, because that was a very big chance for a snowball type aggression from San Francisco based on how decisively they won that first push. They had several good ults available. The only one resetting Architect on the McCree. You see a lot of McCree on this last point. Widow's sightlines aren't there for the offense. Defensively, Prophet has gone over to Genji.
The offense on Volskaya is really tightening up. It was a little sloppy at first. Teams were starting to figure it out, but now as we progress the stage, we start to see more of this map. We're starting to see teams really just roll over that A defense and have like that 6 minutes to start just laying siege to the B point.
Yeah, if you're not getting the first kills on defense, it's very difficult to hold those points. Now we see a big jump into the backline from Super. He gets closer all by himself.
That's huge. Prophet does find Sleepy, but then we'll lose Prophet as well here. So there's a man advantage for San Francisco Shock. Hureg trying to do the best that he can, winning the duel versus Architect. That's the trance thrown out there by Doshin. Feeling the heat a little bit. They are going back and forth right now. Jester hanging on by a thread. Sinatra will end him, and that's a big kill. They've just lost a big tank.
They're going to bring Architect back up to try to clean this up. Baby Devo is getting healed. They have to vacate the point. That's another huge kill from Prophet. You losing your Mercy means this push is very likely over.
Yeah, that was a tough spot for Moth to find himself in. Kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Tank on one side, trying to get back to Architect. Couldn't get out before Prophet rather dashed through him. So Prophet now has the blade as well. Gonna be curious to see if they decide to just take the fight to him, London Spitfire. When you've got that Genji blade, if you all just dive in at the choke point, don't even let him get through the door.
A lot of teams, when you're running into a McCree, will start focusing that McCree. You do not want to let a McCree alone in the backline doing whatever he wants. He's a very pressurable character. You get two people on him, he's going to really struggle. They're going to preemptively Valk into this fight, the London Spitfire. Prophet's going to look for something. They've already been pushed back, though.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, committing more here would be a little bit of a mistake.
Now, if you can find Super, if you can kill him in the back line, that could be big. Could really slow things down here as Prophet is pushing his way through. There's the flashbang. Prophet still hanging in here, though. Without the flash, though, there isn't anything to stop him, but 2 quick kills coming in for San Francisco Shock, and he knows that he doesn't need to commit the blade here unless he wants to style.
It was Super and Sinatra in the backline who were there the entire time, but the rest of London was able to fall back on the defense because of the pressure and the ever-looming threat that Prophet was presenting on the front line there. So they were just... It split up so badly that they were able to take a 4v2 in the backline against Super and Sinatra. Those 2 go down, you have to reset.
Yeah, need to be careful about overextending, but they do get that nice stagger kill on Architect, slowing things down here a little bit for San Francisco Shock. As Nevix and Super are back in this fight, trying to push forward onto the point. Now they're going to start making some progress here. It's going to be on London now to contest. They do get a body on the point immediately. Hureg, kind of a man on a mission right now, looking for a take. He's not going to get it. Quick play there from Super.
Yeah, threw that pulse bomb away, says this pulse bomb is unneeded. Throw it on the ground right there. London's been able to do a really good job of banking up ultimates too. They just rolled in with a Valkyrie. And Architect has been completely shut down on the second point. They're focusing him. He's been dying very often early in these fights. And that's a micro battle you want to watch. Prophet versus Architect. The Genji McCree battle I find so interesting. It's so cooldown based.
So do you think that Hureg is a part of the system? Of their system? Because, I mean, that would be problematic in Overwatch, but let's get into it. Prophet, he is hunting for the targets, gets that reflect out though, so that's going to force him out. But Hureg is able to capitalize by finding the kill on Moth, and now you're going to get, once again, the stagger kills or the attempts for that gesture. Once again, getting pretty far out there, but he will be kept alive. Great heals coming in from Notion with that orb. And
that's just a kill that's going to end a fight. Hureg found Moth on that lonely island back there, able to take him down. And without a Mercy, you can't really go in. You need the resurrection. You need all the healing. Mercy Zenyatta, you can take out the Zenyatta because he'll get rezzed, but there's just not enough healing with only a Zenyatta. Mercy continues to be the linchpin of a lot of compositions.
Well, this has prompted a change from Architect. He's not on the McCree anymore. He is going to be on that Genji. Here we go. Prophet with nothing to stop him. He's going to get in here. Hacks him to bits. 2 kills. Could get a third or a D-Mech at least, and he will. No reason to go in there and try and find the further kill here on Nevix. Just let him run around.
Prophet is just insane. His hero pool is bonkers. He's one of the best in the league at nearly every single stat. If you look across the board, doesn't matter what hero he's on, and for good measure, Hureg will evict Super. Forces out that res because they want to reset quicker rather than waiting for spawn. Kind of interesting there. I mean, it bought him a little bit of time, but now you don't have res going into this next fight.
Sinatra was back in spawn anyway, so they're going to have to wait regardless. I don't know. Throwing it out there. I mean, it's just... Prophet, he's just identifying the situation. He's right. There is no counter to me, and I'm loving this aggression from London Spitfire. This is when, defense, they decide to take the fight to the offense. They don't let them set up comfortably. We do lose Prophet in the mix, but that's only 1 man down for 2 on the side of San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, they're going to res this up, but they were pushed so far out that this res might not mean a whole lot. Prophet should be back in the mix with all of this. Fury being D-Mech, though, is a little bit of a concerning deal because he can't really go back to spawn. Nevic's going to drop in a bomb.
Whoa, there it is! The monster, you see it going right into the corner on 3 squish. London Spitfire now, they were hoping to dodge this kind of play, but that was perfectly done. Nevix, what a beast.
It's going to be fine, though, because they're able to resurrect Bedosian, but Bedosian dies with Transcendence up. That is what they might have needed to continue this fight. Architect Scott Blade being very patient. He's going to pull it out.
Oh, great dodge there by Closer. Managing to get out of harm's way, although maybe I spoke too soon. This is the target. Architect can't get anything out of the blade, but we do get 2 kills regardless. Super finds Prophet and Fury is dead. They're hanging in here by a thread, and now Notion back into the fight, gets that trance, keeping his teammates alive.
Able to bring Fury back into the mix too while they take out both tanks, and London has deflected this push before any permanent progress can be done. And they stay on the point to make sure all of that progress will revert. 20 seconds remain. It's going to be a junky looking push for San Francisco.
That's so... what Nevix is just waving his arms in the air like, what else do I got to do, guys?
I got 3. I got
3 kills, and we still can't get a tick.
And then they got Bedosian down while he was holding Transcend, but they were able to stall it out long enough for him to get back on the point with that Transcendence, and now they got to push into a Prophet Blade. Not ideal.
Yeah. Could be the counter engage coming in here from London, and yep, sure enough, Prophet not waiting at all, just goes right into the thick of things, beheads Super, could get the D-Mac on Nevix, yep, the tanks are gone, although we can get a remake coming in here after that self-destruct. Nevix does manage to dodge back into safety. matter of keeping his healers alive here so that he can keep this fight going. He's hanging on by a thread, and he'll get demeched again by Fury.
It's just Nevic's Gestures found himself the support backline as well. He will cut them off from the rest of the team. No great healing going on the point now because of it. Gesture will clean it up. Sleepy's got to be pushed back. No one on the point. 0% progress for San Francisco on the second point here on Volskaya.
Frustrating start here for San Francisco. With more than 6 minutes in the bank, they don't get a single tick on that B point for Volskaya. Despite changing up the strategies, perhaps held on to the McCree a little bit too long before going over to the Genji, but then even with the Genji, Architect wasn't really getting that high impact blade the way that Prophet was.
I thought they could try to exploit the fact that Hureg is in the roster rather than Bird Ring by simply focusing all your efforts on Prophet and making Hureg be the guy who has to beat you, has to have a big game. Hureg had a nice game on Tracer. It wasn't as flashy as Prophet right there, but Prophet, I mean, early on made signs of being the best player in the league, and he hasn't really fallen off. The pieces around London maybe not there that he's used to, but they had no answer to his Genji. They tried McCree forever, never worked out for him, and it was blade after blade, had so many ultimates that fight, and I think that's where you have to start sending your resources. Someone's got to deal with Prophet, but easier said than done.
Oh, especially when Hureg is just popping off. He had a good game, dude. He
Yeah.
had a stellar game. 14 final blows. He's in the lead by a fair margin. What? Runner-up is 10, and that's Nevix on San Francisco Shock, the Diva player. So Hureg and Prophet right now, they are definitely getting the work done for London Spitfire. It's going to be on San Francisco Shock now to shut him down. Architect on the Widow here, first point defense. That's what we expect to see. Nothing really shocking coming out here so far between both of these teams here for point A at least. Stick with what works.
You mean to tell me we're going to see Widow Tracer versus Widow Tracer on first point of Volskaya?
I didn't want to get your hopes up, Hex, but yes, we are going to see Widow Tracer.
And we've seen a little bit of dive come into this from different teams. Perhaps we'll see it from Shanghai a little bit later as well. They've been known to run dive on nearly every map. But for this first one, Widow Tracer versus Widow Tracer, can Architect step up to the plate? And now, oddly enough, on offense, they're going to make a DPS switch for London. Hureg will be on the Widow, and Prophet will go to the Tracer. Switching roles.
Let's see, is it going to be effective here? Are London Spitfire going to be as quick as San Francisco Shock were with their first push onto the A point? Need to find these opening kills quickly. Hureg, not exactly the strongest Widow in the league right now. I think he's in the bottom third in terms of stats. So this is going to be a chance for him to prove himself here versus Architect, who has definitely been hitting shots.
Sleepy is going to jump it alone. Super jumps it very low, gets very low, has to back up, but that is a beautiful shot from Architect. Where did Padoshan die? Is he in a resable position? They will go back and peel for this res. Both tanks back there to make sure that that res comes off.
That was sick. Did you see? I mean, you got to notice that Fury is just covering him in D-Matrix at that point, making sure the closer will not get canceled out, will not get, well, headshot, importantly. Speaking of which, there we go, Hureg picks off Architect, and that was in the middle of nowhere. That is not going to be a resable position for Moth.
Closer goes down though. Super does go in and collect his pound of flesh, and the resurrection does come off onto Architect. So now a small advantage for San Francisco on this defense. No permanent progress done. Fury and Prophet out in no man's land. It'd be surprising if Fury's able to get out of here alive. He will take the back route. They drop a preemptive bubble so he can get out too. Just the coordination of London is off the charts. It's these small things. Body blocking for reses. Dropping a bubble so that your diva can get out without getting demacked and not having to take a swim.
Nobody wants to take a swim in the icy waters.
Skya. Well, polar bear club, you know?
Well, actually, well, never mind. I'll get into that later. So, yeah, Closer's definitely going to be regretting dying there because that could have been a big push for London Spitfire with the opening that they had. So Sinatra watching the flanks. To be expected, he's got his pulse as well. Could just go blink, blink, blink and drop a payload in there, but
they're just waiting out this infrasight. I mean, Architect had popped it early. Now it has dissipated. Hureg is nearing his own infrasight if they want to be patient on it. They can be super patient here because they're going to have both support ultimates. And on the other side, Moth only with Valkyrie. Although Sleepy should be able to get there in the next fight. That's a res that's going to have to be used. They're going to come in and try to peel. Oh, they deny it!
Sick work. Closer brings back Notion, but it's too late.
Yeah, Super just jumped in immediately over there. As soon as they got the kill, they were unable to deny the res, but got two people who were back there on the peel. It's very clear what London likes to do as soon as a resurrection. Everyone falls back, and they've been pressuring it. That's not where you want to trance, by the way.
That is, I mean, a bit sticky here. They are getting collapsed on. London Spitfire hanging on. I mean, finally, Notion and Closer go down. This has cost an enormous amount of time for London, however. They only have 1:30 left on the clock to get some progress on this first point.
This is a ridiculously good Volskaya defense. You expect that eventually it will turn over, but look at that. Have to D-Mac, and they punish Fury for just trying to get a new mech.
Yeah, sick work. Sinatra keeping it up. Architect did get punched in the face by Gesture. So he'll have to take a little bit of time before it. Nope, never mind. Instantly rezzed up by Moth.
What's worrisome is that Moth had to Valkyrie there, so now they know that they're the only one at the support ultimate. Both of the Transcendences were used on the last engagement. So you might expect Closer to come in here and Valkyrie, but stay on the ground with Valkyrie because you're against a Widow. Architect has pop sites, that's why London is taking their time yet again. They're waiting for Infosight to go down. Hurek pops him while Infosight is up, my goodness.
And Gesture camps the body. No res possible there from Moth. Super sick reaction from him. Sinatra is going to pressure him back over toward the main group, but this is the opportunity here that London Spitfire were patiently waiting for. Their chance to get something done, although again, Nevix trying to go for the slam dunk, not going to happen. Profit and just assassinates the back line for San Francisco Shock, and it's looking like London Spitfire will finally find success on point A.
Yeah, they will throw that Valkyrie in there as well because why not? You want to make sure that you win that fight. And now, because of their great defense on second point, this map is far from over. Despite how good San Francisco's defense looked on first, second can be a whole different animal. You're going to see roster switches as well. Profit, this is where false bombs go. Have that, Zen. See you later.
Oh, and then the punish. Yeah, it doesn't get much cleaner than that.
That's beautiful right there. They only need 33%. At this point, worst case scenario for London is to draw. Both of these teams have drawn on this map only once.
Oh, Sinatra, that was stylish. But Ureg will be brought back to life. Still, that's the res used here for Closer. So going into this fight, it's going to be the 6 players here for London Spitfire. They need a single tick on the B point. They have 3.5 minutes to get it done. Spread out here, San Francisco Shock. It's going to be Architect watching the right flank. Super goes diving in. Where are the rest of his team to help him out here? Sinatra isn't far, and Sinatra finds a kill on Closer.
Oh, that's huge. Losing your Mercy, they might still push this. London's a team that will still push 5v6 in situations. They believe in their mechanical skill. I believe one of the reasons that they've fallen off is London's never been the crispest of teams. Even in stage 1 and stage 2, they were the sloppy plays. You know, C9, London, they kind of go hand in hand for several different reasons, but they were able to mechanically gut it out. If they can clean up their teamwork a little bit, their mechanics are still probably better than most teams in the league.
Yeah, Prophet would definitely have something to say about that. This guy as well, Gesture, leaping right into it, trying to cut the team in half. Not quite going to have it, but he does manage to get a bit of room going here on this point. Still, in the meantime, while all that's going on, you've got Super and Sinatra having a field day in the London backline out here, forcing them to hold up but not really be able to support Gesture in his push.
They did force out another Valkyrie, though. There's been some interesting Valkyrie play happening from both sides. Moth will not have his for the next engagement. Now, London has banked nearly every single ultimate. This is a strategy a lot of teams are employing on Volskaya last. You just wait and you bludgeon them with 6 ultimates and you hope that you can get progress. And especially when you only need 33%. It's a good strat.
Let's see how it pans out as Prophet. He can be here to work with Gesture this time. And that's exactly what's going to happen. You see both blinking in, Gesture trying to force him out into the open. That gets the trance used here. Prophet will be able to recall back up to full HP. Now he's got the pulse bomb. 2 quick kills coming in here for the London Spitfire. This could be it here. San Francisco Shock now, they have to hold. And Prophet, oh no, he gets caught on the edge of the wall. Whiffs his ult.
So close to being a game-winning ultimate, but still, it's still the only ult that they've busted out. Closer preemptively out. They're cleaning up absolutely everything. Desperation time for San Francisco. Trying to get something in, but trying to touch the point during a Deadeye. Not gonna work out. And London takes Volskaya.
Yeah. So clean in the end. Patient play, working together. Gesture and Prophet, the deadly duo. When they get on the same page, it's so hard to withstand the pressure if you're against it. But the London Spitfire will take the lead here in this series. 1-0. San Francisco Shock. I mean, we've seen... Wow. Sick. Very well played. All right, we're going to get into it, guys. We're taking a break, and we'll come back for map 2 in this series in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever.
nasty blow, and the Spitfire now have one more chance.
And the Shock have looked good here on offense thus far.
The London Spitfire will take it. Baby Bay was quicker on the trigger finger.
Bird ring comes through.
This is coming down to the wire.
That could get dicey. Wow, that aggression.
Hey, these teams are close.
They were definitely very evenly matched.
Now it's going to be an absolute bloodbath, and it's a massacre.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're getting into a match where going into this, we were kind of having a few questions in terms of who would step up for London Spitfire in the absence of Bird ring. Well, now we have the answer. Greg has gone off.
The question was which Hureg was going to show up. A guy who can absolutely dominate a match, or a guy who gets shut down a little bit here and there. He has had disappearing acts. Not that last map. He led the entire server in nearly every single one of these stats. 36 limbs, 19 final blows, only 4 deaths.
Yeah, only 4 deaths. That's a big deal. It's just the fact that he's constantly up to keep pressure in San Francisco Shock. I mean, Architect was going to be that counterbalance, which we were looking for to kind of shut him down, and that just didn't happen at all. Architect was not able to step up. Architect actually had a kind of quiet game.
Very
apart
quiet
from
game.
the very start, right, where San Francisco, they hit the ground running, and he really got in there with some headshots on Widow. After that, it was kind of, is he in there? Is he not? So still trying to work out some of the kinks here, San Francisco.
A very quiet game on McCree. Got dove a lot of pressure on him because they were running like 4 people up front, then Super and Sinatra in the back line. And when you notice that, you overwhelm a McCree. McCree is one of the best duelists in the game. It's why you see him in all your free-for-alls. There's 9 McCrees, and you're the one Tracer in there. But
I'm one of those McCrees.
It's because he can 1v1 nearly everyone. He's got a great kit for it. Now, when 2v1s start happening, McCree's in a lot of trouble, and you can just overwhelm him. That's what a lot of teams have done when they see an offensive McCree on Volskaya last. But you know I'm thrilled because we are going to Numbani, the lab. There's not really been a set meta since Numbani's been released. Teams will try all sorts of interesting stuff. You saw for San Francisco, Dante is coming in now instead of Sinatra. He's got much more versatility in his hero pool. And San Francisco has run Sombra on this map. They've run Sombra Widow on an offense. They've run nearly everything. London's defense is a little bit interesting as well. They're one of the few teams that will almost always run a defensive Widow. It's very good at shutting down a FAR that might come in or anything along those lines, but it is a very strong dive target too. So it's about protecting Hureg in this situation.
Yeah, he doesn't have that biofield the way Soldier does, that self-healing that can allow him to withstand some of the hurt. So we'll see. Hureg, I mean, well, if this kind of Hureg continues, though, San Francisco are going to be in a bit of a tight spot, Hex.
San Francisco, one of the last times they played this map, they ran a pure dive with a Mercy and a Moira. The Mercy's there to help out the dive. She's got the verticality to be able to chase them down. And then the Moira sits on the point, throws in orbs, and does a lot of work that way. But a lot of teams will run Lucio because you just need those extra seconds to get there quicker, because look at this long walk. Buses have broken down on the way to Numbani first.
They got a long way. Pack a sandwich. Make sure you bring enough water. It's going to be a bit of a trip as Super is already through to the corner. Rest of his team are going to be following suit. Dante looking for a way in right now, but he's been spotted by Prophet.
These are typical compositions for both of these teams, defensive Widow and then the offensive Moira Mercy combination.
Unfortunately, Nevix is not able to bump anybody off the high ground there, so that's going to slow things down. It forces Super up here, and there we go. As the cooldowns come off, it is going to be heads that come off. Closer, dead instantly, but Moth and Dante lost for the offense. Still, this should be more than enough now for San Francisco Shock. They've got the kills. It's just Prophet and Jester left here for San Francisco. And, well, never, I guess you just can't count these guys out ever. Jester and Prophet, they're just winning these fights.
Oh, it's just Nevixer, it's Baby Diva, it's just Jester and Prophet, and the reinforced time is so much better for the defense in this situation. Architect's still mucking around here, but he's got to wait for the rest of his team.
I'm sitting there like, oh, well, this could be a winnable situation for Seth. It's like, actually, hold on. Jester and Prophet are still alive. They've got this.
They just win their duels. It's ridiculous. And now they're going to have Infrasight as well. No flank's going to be possible. San Francisco is a team that will send a Tracer or even a Sombra all the way around a flank to try to put some pressure on, but Jester and Prophet are just in each other's pockets and the backline protecting everyone else. It's a 2-man and 4-man split right now.
Exactly, working as a duo together, and there it is. Jester goes leaping in on Moth, tasing him, Moth dropping dangerously low, and Hureg picks him out of the sky. Both supports dead now for San Francisco Shock, and that's going to force a quick retreat here. They cannot afford to hang around. And if they get staggered, I mean, London have already shown that they will not hesitate. They will hunt you down if you hang around here a bit too much.
London will catch that dive in such a strange way that they're up top and they're fine being pushed back in the hallway, which is what you saw happen on the first defense, because the people not in that 4-man squad are just going to murder everyone else on the ground, and that's Jester and Prophet. You want to dive in, that's fine, but your supports are going to be left vulnerable, and they clean it up. Hureg continues to impress on another hero.
Yeah, that was a spicy flick right there. Hureg, man, he's continuing to perform that same level that we saw from Volskaya. So he is going to be looking for it now. His Sleepy has got the Lighthouse showing the way. Yet again, Moth dropping dangerously low, getting topped up. The entire Coalescence getting focused on one. And guess what? It's not enough. Moth is gone.
Moth Architecture gone. They did force out the Transcend, though. Actually, in that situation, I wouldn't have minded if Badoshan just died and waited for a Resurrection to come out. That fight had seemed like it was over already. Granted, the kills that they got when a Mercy's out of the fight, I've already mentioned her importance. Is a chase that is not going to be enough damage to take down a Moira.
Gesture quickly realizes that. Just get out, Gesture. But there's only a minute left on the clock here for San Francisco Shock. This may be their last chance at cracking this point open.
Well, that's the thing on Nimbani. I always talk about the long walk to it. You get like 3 chances at first. That's about it, especially when these fights get a little bit dragged out. But they've actually been pretty short fights, and still, they only have a minute, and this is their 3rd push.
All right, well, there we go. Solid D-Matrix leading the way, trying to cover here as the tanks try to create space on the point. You've got Gesture and Prophet working together yet again. Hureg now looking for a target of his own. This self-destruct might bear fruit, and Architect will be head Badoshan, but then Fury! Fury with the counter. Triple kill self-destruct. The London Spitfire now in a fantastic position to get the full hold here on the first point. It's going to be desperation time for San Francisco.
Nothing but the sound and the Fury signifying everything there. Wins that fight completely. What a beautiful self-destruct. You don't see a whole lot of Fury in this mix, and he's a little more defensive, but even a defensive diva can find those great bombs.
Let's see, as this goes into it now, no ults really to speak of. Well, Dantes gets his pulse, but that's going to be pretty much it. Sleepy, of course, can get Coalescence very quickly. That's one of the strengths of Moira. So they're going to be relying on that ult to kind of pave the way here. Both tanks on the low ground. Dante on a mission, trying to go for the hero stick on Doshan, but Doshan floats out of the way, dodges it, and it's now going to be the big push coming in here for San Francisco Shock, and they've already lost Nevix's back. They're dropping in droves now.
Architect continues to struggle. He switched over to Widow to try to duel this down, and he gets caught by Badoshan. Only 2 alive. That Pulse Bomb gets stuck again. And this is looking real rough for San Francisco at the moment.
The hard hold coming in here for London Spitfire. Everybody gone. Nothing that Sleepy can do. All he can do is just deny them the gratification of killing him, as that will be the end of round 1.
Well, we didn't necessarily catch it, but let's take a look at where that Fury Bomb came up over top.
Yeah, you see Nevix's flick, like straight in there. I like it.
You know what's funny? Because they were getting dove on, right? The Zenyatta was getting dove on back there. He's got the Genji in his face, and he knows that there's probably going to be support coming in for that Genji. So they just toss it over the back, and there's really nowhere to hide over there. It's not a place that you see a ton of fights happen, but they pulled so far back. Beautiful recognition of the situation by Fury, and that was a fight-winning ultimate.
I mean, it's almost you want to have a replay of Architect. I mean, we got him there, but of Architect's reaction to that, just hands behind the head. Like, what can you do? That was supposed to be the moment, the game-winning moment, as far as point A is concerned.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to suss out the stats here of, like, if you run a Lucio, because most teams do. Most teams run an offensive Lucio. If you get a 4th push at it, just based on you're always getting speed boost, you're always getting out there a little quicker. If you add up those extra seconds, does it give you another minute for a push? Because it's interesting. Most teams are running Lucio Moira on this point, even though you don't have the high ground, then you run your Diva up here to kind of scoop it. San Francisco, though, runs this interesting defense. This is another reason Dante came in, because they run a Junkrat Widow on defense. Not super surprising. London has run a Sombra on this point before. I think they're probably going to go for a pure dive with a Lucio here. Odd that there's not a Moira, but London just has these Zenyatta aces that you kind of don't want to put on a Moira. Badoshan killed Architect when he was trying to Widow there. So I think it's going to be pure dive, and then keep an eye on Fury here. And this is actually interesting for San Francisco. Not a lot of teams have been setting up on main stairs. This used to be where most teams set up defensively.
Yeah, you're probably trying to take advantage of Dante and the infernal spam. The fragmentation grenades getting chucked into that hallway can be a nightmare to try and push against. They'll need that D-Matrix to make it happen as they do make their way out. Closer is going to be on the Mercy. Doshan is going to be on the Zen. So London Spitfire kind of changing it up, altering the strategy here, just getting that initial little boost.
When London sees this, they're going to make some changes, or they're just going to dive right side entirely. They are going to make changes. Moira's going to come in instead. And the thing is, you can actually just sit there and eat a lot of grenades and let Moira get Coalescence up. I mean, her ult charge is extremely fast.
Right through the low ground. Volley to the face, no problem at all. Fury just going to go ahead and push right through with the rest of his team. team. There's a kill, but they instantly traded. Dante taking full advantage of it, hucking a mine in their face, and London Spitfire now having to rotate around, trying to find a different angle, just trying to survive here.
They're in trouble. They might just go off this edge right now. They're all the way back. You've got 4 back there. They're going to wait for 2. So an interesting angle of attack now coming in from London. They are going to have to wait to see if they can get Moira and Tracer in a good position as well. They're trying to rendezvous. Tracer just going right up the gut.
Yeah, well, Doshin and Hureg now working back in here. Gesture leaps in on the high ground, doesn't quite get the support he was looking for, and Prophet following suit, following his tank, dies. Now they're dropping out, and London Spitfire looking like they'll have to give some ground here.
So one of the best ways to deal with an Orisa is to just dive her. The problem is when an Orisa and Junkrat are right together, that turns into a less ideal plan. I wonder if they're going to switch something and just try to take the right side high ground. They don't really have the poke damage that you need for that either. So it's been interesting the way that they're trying to deal with this, of just trying to take away the point, but it's not a super mobile composition. You don't have to play into it necessarily. They're going to dive it again.
Yeah, there you go. Dash right through, trying to do maximum damage here. Prophet so far not quite getting focused fast enough, but then the rest of his team are dying as well. Gesture and Hureg gone. And yet again, London Spitfire struggling here to get anything to stick. This defense.
Prophet's just trying to get another dash through just to get his blade up. They are banking that ultimate up. They're going to have blade. They're going to have coalescence, pulse bomb. So London again is in a situation where they know that all they need is 1 tick on the point. Very similar to Volskaya. They're going to try to bank up ultimates. The issue is they haven't really forced a ton out of San Francisco, although there is not a Valkyrie available for them.
As you guys heard, we got the Riptire online here for Dante. Could decide to fall back into the hallways. Common spot to try and chuck that out from. Well, a minute and a half here. London Spitfire yet again trying to be patient about this. Primal Rage is about to come online for Gesture. Fury with the self-destruct. I mean, they're just going to have all of these ults to work with, but so do San Francisco Shocks. Let's see, are they going to be effective? Is this going to work out?
They jump in again. The Tire's going to try to find something here. It is just Gesture. Prophet takes on Architect in the meanwhile on the other side of things. This blade comes in as well.
Okay, this is a big deal now. This is the opening. Sleepy has used Transcendence, but Prophet already managed to get value out of that Dragon Blade. They're getting halted back in, but can they find Moth? Moth managing to dodge back around the corner, keeping it alive here. The Bongos charging everybody up on the point as well, with Super getting that ult into play. Hureg dangerously low, and he gets caught at the end. Sleepy with the headshot.
And Moth barely got out alive. What they were trying to do was get Coalescence back there onto Moth because there's no peel available. Defense Matrix does not work against Coalescence. It will pierce heroes as well, but Moth was able to get around the corner at the last second, stay alive for his team, and it's time to reset. 40 seconds yet to go to get 1 tick here on Numbani, or we're going to have a draw.
This is getting silly. These defenses, man, they're flawless.
I mean, everyone's trying to figure out a very good defense. Houston had a really cool tactic yesterday. There's really no set plan on Numbani, so you have to really be able to adapt to what the defense is doing. So far, diving on top of a Orisa with a Junkrat next to her has not worked out at all.
Because you got the kangaroo trap there as well. Just not only the damage, but that you can get fixed in place and things can get antsy. They are going to be moving together. Straight up the gut, right onto the point. Take the fight to him. And now it's going to be about finding some kills here as the Coalescence comes into it. Gesture gets focused down. Nevix will not find the kill. It's Dante with that tire, but it's all the same as Doshin and Gesture are gone. There are no reses here for London Spitfire. They're going to have to win out.
There's a self-destruct on the point, and they get 2. Prophet's got the blade out as well, and he gets Nevix.
Oh, sick play. Sleepy, toe-to-toe. Moth gets the res off on Architect as well. And San Francisco Shock.
They have to play the point. That's why Architect's on the low ground. They're so close to giving it up. There's only 33% needed. They have to stay alive and play on the point.
Oh, no. It's going to happen! Architect! He's not able to get back in time. And London Spitfire, they squeak the win at the last second.
I mean, what do you do against London? If you let them run set plays, it's in trouble. Even if you're stopping their set plays, they open every time. And then when everything devolves and falls apart and it gets scrappy, it feels like they can still gut out a win.
Every time. They're keeping it so close. Fury, self-destruct, a thing of beauty. We're going to take a break and hear what the desk has to say after that.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.
Blizzard Arena, are you guys enjoying the show so far? I heard a shock chant here in the audience. We got people all behind the team from the Bay, and so far, it is all, well, it looked pretty close, but it's all London.
Let's hype the crowd up, and then London wins.
Let's talk about London a little bit here, though, guys, because they did go up 2-0, and they did it based on their performance on defense, at least in my mind. Johnny, what are you seeing in our first 2 games?
Well, we saw 4-man dives coming out of the London Spitfire. Very aggressive defensive hold with the Genji and the Tracer. Basically, they gave San Francisco Shock no room whatsoever to actually execute. We saw Super and Sinatra in the back line of the London Spitfire, and they got some kills on Bedosian, but it just didn't matter because Prophet, he was so dominant on the Genji and Hureg on the Tracer. Nevix got a 3K with the Diva Bomb, but in reality, they couldn't capitalize.
And this was so frustrating to watch because you pointed out, Crumbs, you took out Bedosian, you took out a Genji, and you still can't cap the point with 3 down. Then on the defense, it just seemed like London had the answer. Shock could not hold them. Hurek switching over to the McCree, and they just powered through.
And it's the aggressiveness of London that we've come to expect. We didn't get to see it in the beginning of the stage with their transitions with new players and Hurek, but it's finally come to fruition.
Yeah.
Some of the plays are back, and Hurek has actually been having an amazing series so far.
Yeah, it's so hard to deal with this on Numbani. So Numbani is one of the harder maps to actually cap the point A on. And sure, when Fury gets a 3K, that helps. But definitely, it's so hard to really cap this point at San Francisco. They couldn't get the job done when Hureg was popping off, when Prophet is in the back line. And Dante couldn't really get on the high ground with his Tracer. It just didn't play into the favor of San Francisco.
Not a single tick. London holds strong on Numbani. Now, we do have to look back, though, at how London got here, right? And then one of the players we hyped up was Prophet. We said Hureg considered kind of the weaker of the DPS players on this team because London is so stacked with Prophet and Birdring. But if you look at our top 10 elimination participation stats, all of the players in the league here ranked. And you can see 54.8% is from Striker. That is a leading performance in kill participation. What Hurek did on Volskaya is ridiculous. Look at these numbers. This is insane stuff. 67.9%. He outshined Architect.
He really did, and when we talk about Hureg, a lot of the times we say that he's not that great of a player. He's obviously being compared to Birdring, but part of the thing that's dragging him down is his inconsistency. He has the ability to show up tremendously if the resources are there and put Architect to shame. However, it just doesn't happen all the time, and that's why London is struggling right now.
Yeah, I mean, this was a team effort, right?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, they did a 4-man dives, executed hard onto the San Francisco Shock. And Hureg on the Tracer, he had such an easy time just flanking around, hitting up the supports, the Divas, the Winstons. He just hit shots on everybody. That's what Tracer does.
And there was a lot of attention put on Prophet throughout this series. Let's take a look at what this young man has been able to accomplish. He showed us some Tracer, he showed us Widow, he showed us Genji,
all the
specifically on the defense.
Symmetro?
And I think that right now, what San Francisco is struggling with is that there's so many players on London playing as legitimate threats that they're not really sure what the game plan should be. Should they be helping out Architect? Should they be focusing down Prophet or even Gesture, who's working so great along this squad? They really just need to focus in on one specific thing and go in on it. You're already down practically two games. You might as well give it a shot.
Yeah, and I second this because it's very noticeable in-game how they sort of changed the play style within the game. Sometimes Nevix is going with Super, protecting his Winston. Sometimes he peels back to the back line. And so you see that they do some errors, and London Spitfire, we know them as a very passive team, and they can capitalize off that. So when you get down to the last fight on Numbani, and you can actually full hold London Spitfire to tie the series, or not tie the series, to make London go up 1-0. Yes, to a draw. Then they sort of get a bit disorganized. The game plan isn't really set in stone, and as such, London Spitfire are able to capitalize off the San Francisco Shock, not really fulfilling or have a 100% game.
I'm not too worried about it for them. However, you know, they're probably out of stage, or rather the whole overall playoffs, and this is a young squad, and this is what you expected of a young squad. There's not a whole lot of direction going into the team, but they do have the mechanical play and just instinct, and it just so happens that when you have to really get your head level on those final seconds, it falls apart.
Guys, let's look at the big picture here. Just to remind everyone where we're at in Stage 3. London basically out of the playoff running, but you got San Francisco, who is still very much in the mix here. Currently, San Francisco is down 0-2 at the half. They have to win 3 straight in the second half to keep those hopes alive. Johnny, Prophet is gunning for your supports all match long so far. How do you stop this moving forward while still keeping up the aggression you need?
Well, Prophet can't shoot Pharaohs, and we might see Architect Pharaoh on Ilios, and then we're heading to Route 66, which they beat Philly on last week, so we could see it happen. Reverse sweep, I don't know, I'm not gonna call it, but we've seen all crazy things in the Overwatch.
Any San Francisco fans here in the venue have faith? We're missing our rooster, but a lot of people will be cheering on the boys from the Bay. Can they bring it back? We're about to find out. Ilios is coming up next in just a minute.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
All right, welcome back from the break, everybody. We're getting into it now with one of the lowest scoring games ever in Overwatch League.
Yeah. Philly Soul the other night, no one was playing any offense. It seems the same today. We've got a defensive struggle, and I love it. And, I mean, you got to think, too, London's still technically alive for Stage 3 playoffs. The best kind of alive, technically alive.
Technically, super slim astronomical odds, but hey, if you place that bet, you're going to be one happy sucker when they make it. All right, you know what we do have, though, is we have sounds of the game here, and it is going to be, I believe, San Francisco Shock going on to the point. And, well, this was one of the points that we were trying to cover a little bit going into this match. You know, that there is perhaps some miscommunication going on with San Francisco Shock in the chaos of things when people really need to be on point with the comms. They aren't quite there. So let's go ahead and have a listen real quick and see what that's about.
2, 1 going in. Should we go for top? Yeah, back lane top left. Come on point. Guys are left. Yeah, you see them. We can dive top soon. Top. Ready? Someone! Got her! Someone! Oh no, wait.
Right, so it seems like Moth was kind of caught under the gun there, not really getting the support he needed.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a couple times in doing prep for this that I've seen a little miscommunication, especially between Moth and Architect. Architect will throw his blade down, and he's a mile away, then Valkyrie gets popped, the Valkyrie doesn't get to him on time, so there is miscommunication there going on, and it seems like there's a lot of talking, maybe not enough listening to what's happening. You have to dedicate those shot callers. Like, clean comms, clean wins is a motto a lot of teams use, and those comms did not seem the cleanest ever. But San Francisco still in this as we head to Ilios. My biggest question is, what are they going to do if they end up running into a Pharah? They will also run a Pharah of their own. Architect will be the one to do it, and they will run it on Lighthouse. That's what you're seeing right now. Urag versus Architect micro battle.
All right, then. It's going to be the man in the sky giving us the point of the view.
It gets discorded, so he's going to drop down. These angles are so interesting from Pharah right now. They're going to just play pack room, stay under the shelter here, try to get some distance and get some shots going on. So far, it's been not a whole lot of damage going on just yet, and this has to be a patient kind of offense for London here. You want to be able to put pressure on Architect, then put pressure on the point.
Well, let's see. I mean, San Francisco Shock, they're hanging around the point right now, but it's London who are making a lot of progress. They are on the edge of picking up the first point control, which is so key here on these control maps. But it will fade fairly quickly. They need to keep that presence going. Who's going to find the first kill here? Who's going to get first blood? And it's going to be Fury getting the DMAC on Nevix, but dangerously low. Few of the players here for London Spitfire. Architect managing to knock Doshan off the side, and Gesture falls to Sinatra, but it will be London Spitfire picking up first point control in the end.
I feel that London has really focused down on the tanks. So often both tanks will fall for San Francisco, and when both tanks fall, there's just no peel for anybody else, and it's an eventuality at that point that the supports and the DPS will fall afterwards.
It's inevitable. Okay, it just becomes inevitable. That well, when you don't have the big beef, they're gonna go for the squish. All right, let's see how things are gonna go here. As Prophet is on a bit of a man hunt, he is gonna go after Super. Just putting a little bit of pressure, making sure that Super can't get in here for free. Super trying to get in onto the high ground. Does he have the follow-up here from his team? Getting focused pretty hard.
Well, Prophet's gonna check Sinatra there too. This is what San Francisco has to work. It's not only about hitting rockets. You have to have the cleanup on the ground. At the professional level, it's very rare that you're going to just straight up get kills. Oh my God!
Never mind! Never mind. Urag's just like, hold on, Hex here. Hold my beer real quick. Let me get that done real. It is gonna be Nevix hucking himself off the side of the cliff for a quick reset. 50% now for London Spitfire.
It's just a surprising angle. You don't expect a McCree to be coming through sauna down there. You usually expect him on stairs trying to get a high vantage point there, but they did not see him right below. Deadeye, of course, a great ultimate to be able to deal with combos in the sky, especially when they're wide open like that. Already 66%. San Francisco has to find something here. They got a lot to work with. You wouldn't be surprised to see a barrier initiation.
Yeah, they've got the tools necessary. The ults are online. Moth has got to be careful, but he manages to sneak his way back onto the point. Back here with the rest of his team. Unfortunately, that pulse bomb got eaten up by the D-Matrix. Good play there by Nevix, Johnny on the spot. But Super's pinned in the corner and eventually dies horribly. Will there be a res possible? It'd be real tough for Sleepy to get in there, but he's going to attempt it, and he manages to pull it off.
But they got Nevix while the self-destruct is happening, so he's not going to get back into mech, and they continue to clean this up. They were so close to taking the point, but good presence of mind by London to get back on there and deny it. They did lose Hurag, so maybe the Far Mercy can get a little bit of room here. They do try the barrage.
Yeah, that was going to be it. Architect, he could have come up with a hero play there, but only gets the one kill. And even that gets canceled out. Closer right under Architect's nose gets the res off on Gesture. And that could be it here for the San Francisco Shock on this first point of Ilios.
Just not cleaning up all the damage that Architect is doing. He's putting it down. Another Deadeye comes in. Sleepy unable to Guardian Angel his way out of that one. Moth does get a big boot, but he will be put down as well. Desperation time. San Francisco had grabbed that point in the middle of it, but no one's alive. London should be able to take this back swiftly.
They will. It is flipped, and overtime wick burning. Super is close enough to tap the point. Sinatra can follow up as well. Moth trying to boost his way back in here, and Super with the primal gonna buy some time, and yes, gets a kill on Doshan as well. But that's it. Fury with the closing ultimate on the point to clear it.
They did lose two. Hurag and Badoshan both down during this, but they've made some good trades. 4v4, trying to hit that stick right there, does not connect.
Stylish, but self-destruct will get that mech back, and they're hanging in here. By hook or by crook, San Francisco, they refuse to say die. They're gonna keep on fighting as Nevix is going to get D-Max in the end here by Prophet, who's taking his time with it, savoring as the dome comes back in, but it's not gonna be enough. We got a kill on Prophet at the end there for Super, but it will be London Spitfire coming out ahead on Lighthouse.
Last time San Francisco played this map, they got a hero play out of Sinatra at the end who got 3 kills on a Doomfist. I love some panic Doomfist play. I think it's one of the best heroes, not only to get back because of his mobility, but the one-shot kill ability. You can always bring back a fight with a Doomfist. Also just love spectating Doomfist. We are going to go over to Ruins here. And I think it looks like they're queuing up to do the Widow battle here. Of course, Ruins all about Widow. London's actually run a Roadhog and a Widow on this map before, so they have more presence on the point. But then they also have a Widow, so it's been an interesting combination, but it seems like Widow Tracer will be the order of the day. In fact, it will be San Francisco who runs a Roadhog instead.
Interesting. We will still have the Road. We will have the Diva. Moth swaps back over to the Mercy, and well, still feels like the main point of contention here is going to be this sniper battle. So Architect, he hasn't really been stepping up to the plate so far this match. Hureg is definitely kind of dominated. So it's going to be on them now. Who's going to come out ahead here as those tanks are just absorbing it, making it difficult to find the headshots that count?
Just blind fire through there. You can't see anything. You have no idea what you're shooting at. You're just hoping to hear the dink and get a headshot in there. It has been bloodless thus far. Now the battle will move to the point as the Widows stay behind.
Gesture. Dangerously low. Gesture hanging on by a thread. Barely makes it, and there we go. Beautiful headshot from Architect to kick things off. A big kill, and San Francisco Shock will take first control here.
And they will get that point. We talk so often about Widows versus Widows and feeling comfortable when the other Widow's down. It's also very comfortable, especially when you're where Architect is, when the other Tracer's down. You know you don't have to worry about your backline. You can just scope in more often than not. A scoped in Widow is usually an easy target for a Tracer. You get one clip on it, get a melee in, and that is it.
It's going to come down to the re-engage here. Closer has got Foul. You should be able to get that chain heal out there, make sure that everybody stays all nice and topped up, and there it is. Closer with the preemptive Valkyrie to kick things off. Hureg is dead. Architect right now waking up. Gesture dropping dangerously low. He gets caught by Sleepy with a headshot. Well, is Closer going to be able to get a res off? He can't really hang around. Architect really hitting the shots right now that count.
Yeah, Architect has absolutely woken up. That's the best way to describe it. London also used both of their support ultimates in that fight, trying to pull this back. Prophet is going wild in the back, takes down Nevix, takes down Sinatra, and now Moth will fall as well. This is London taking the point back.
And that with Hureg, as soon as Hureg gets rezzed up, boom, Infrasight is in. Oh, we can see through walls. Oh, Prophet's like, great, my job got a whole lot easier. He just hunts them all down. One after the other.
Super's going to switch onto Winston here. They need to put a little bit more pressure onto Hureg to make sure that his job is that much more difficult. Didn't find really anything going with the Hog right there. I think the Hog is generally a response to the tanks of the other side. Maybe you get a hook on a Gesture. Hog versus Winston is a battle that Hog should win.
Let's see here. Fury gets that mech going. Super, a little bit of a poke there at the start. Just kind of trying to figure it out if he can find a way in here or not. Closer. We'll get topped up again, and now it is. Super and Sinatra working together. Trying to find a squishy to gang up on here.
Oh, they found it alone, and they will force out the Transcend, but still holding the Pulse Bomb. They're going to be patient, re-engage once this Transcend fades.
Just got a contest on that point. Can't let San Francisco pick it up for free, and yes, they will get 2 on the point. Gesture finds Architect, hugs him off the side of the cliff. Gesture going for more, but Moth will not survive. Fury with a self-destruct kill on Super as well. And London Spitfire right now, they're keeping it together. They're finding all of these kills and they're sticking together as like this killer death ball.
Welcome to the Gesture Show. Admission is free for you if you're already watching, but that is crazy. He's able to knock off a Widow, no grappling hookup, able to isolate the Mercy, take her down as well, finishes off the baby Diva too. Those are 3 kills, and Gesture kind of did it alone. He didn't even really have a ton of help from his team. That's how good Gesture is.
Well, Architect takes a bullet to the head, but Moth will be there to get the res up. Prophet, not letting Nevix get in here for free, but it is going to be Super and Nevix working together here. Doshin just throws the trance out, not going to let them get any kind of ground here. Sinatra trying to find an angle in the back, hoping to catch somebody out of position. He does get it on to Doshin, but is forced to recall when he takes an orb to the face.
Prophet is just on anti-tank duty. He has just been a thorn in the side of both Super and Nevix, not getting a lot done. They're both dying so often. They got to throw everything that they have at this one. Moss should be preemptively valking onto this point, does just that.
Now, well, there's the jump. And well, Hureg's not going to care too much about that. Instead, he's going to shoot you right in the head as Gesture's the one to find the kill on Architect. Hureg keeping it alive right now. He's feeling the hurt, gets stuck out of there, but that's going to be a little bit too... Might be too little too late here as Moth is dropping dangerously low. He gets overwhelmed by Gesture, who pounds him into the ground. And Nevix is going to get punted off the side as well.
Another Primal Rage, another 3 kills. Make that 4 for Gesture as he has owned Ilios Ruins. London will take the map, take the set. Their playoff chance is still alive. They would love to get a 4-0 here because map differential might mean everything for them.
Fantastic scoreline so far for London. Perfect defense on the first 2 maps, and well, really keeping it together here on control where things can get chaotic. But then, hey, that's just going to turn it into the Gesture show. You're right. Everything is flying all over the place. Let me just go ahead and get in the middle here and pick up 3 kills every time I decide to take a fight. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have the final map in this series where San Francisco Shock can hope to kind of, at least save a little bit of their honor at the end.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
The damage available. And Boyer has so much ability to be able to just get away from players like Linkser on the Tracer. Now getting very close, building up the ult, and there it is.
Oh, okay, the coalescence coming out here. Jae-Hong's just giving the Houston Outlaws a good hosing down. Oh, they're clean indeed. But that push from Seoul was nothing but dirty.
What's up, everybody? Malik here for Access Granted, and I'm getting ready to pick up Super and his teammate Sinatra to talk about gaming and their upcoming matchup against the NYXL. How's the experience been living out here in California for you guys?
We both flew in on the same day. We met each other at the airport.
And now you're best friends.
Yeah, our personalities are meshed pretty well.
Sometimes I'll be playing a ranked game and then he's behind me saying things like, your Genji's trash, get off of Genji.
Yeah. Friendly banter all the time.
And that was a sneak peek of Toyota's Access Granted. We're going to have a new episode every Monday, which you can watch over at overwatchleague.com. Speaking of Access Granted, I was let into the dugout of the San Francisco Shock during halftime to discuss the first half with them, as they were already down 2-0. And they said it's not so much that the London are playing incredible well, it's more us not really playing good. They said they're happy with their defense, but their offense was very lackluster and they really need to work on that. They identified Gesture as their main issue, killing their supports off, and honestly, it didn't look like they figured it out on map number 3. Let's see if they can get the W on the 4th map. Please give it up for the guys on stage. Let's head over to map number 4.
That music, it's just, you just can't help but to get, kind of get bouncy.
I think you can.
You can?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you can actually, that's fine.
No, I can.
Yeah. It's just a Boolean. I'm happy. I'm like ready to go because right now we've got a good series in terms of just London Spitfire. As far as San Francisco Shock is concerned, yes, that is an issue. Your offense right now, and what is going to determine a clean offense is, yes, having a battle plan that you've practiced a lot, but it's also having the comms. And as we saw earlier, they're still trying to figure that out.
London just looks settled down, and they're going through some turmoil the last couple of weeks. They moved out, they moved to a new house, and I don't care who you are, it's always going to mess with you. Moving is the worst thing on the planet. So.
Yeah, but they've got a pool now.
Yeah.
They had a big barbecue.
It is the pool, London. Yeah.
They even had the life jackets because, hey, definitely, chance of having a pool, chance of drowning. Everything goes up. Cut that risk in the bud. Nip it. Nip it.
All right, so we are going to end the Route 66. Again, London would love this sweep here. This map does matter as we get close to the Stage 3 playoffs. Every map matters. San Francisco, I don't think is eliminated either. They had a better record than London coming into this, so they need these maps as well. Map differential, a lot to play for here on Route 66. Though the London Spitfire have won the series, it's been pretty decisive so far. I would like to see San Francisco have a little bit better of a match. On offense, they generally like to run a Tracer and a Widow, of course, but they will also flex Architect on a Genji. And this is the moment that I started seeing the value in Architect to be able to switch to a Genji. If you're getting out-widowed, you don't have to make the swaps that, like, I got to go back to spawn, my Tracer's got to go to, you make all these certain changes. Having your Widow and Genji on the same person is so helpful, so beneficial when you are losing those duels. Defensively for London, the biggest vulnerability I saw for them is when we get in a second and it's a little more wide open, their backline gets crushed by tanks. The Gladiators absolutely embarrassed them. Bishu and Fissure went in and just took out the supports one by one. It's a vulnerability that perhaps San Francisco can exploit on Route 66. It is going to be Widow Tracer. No big surprise there. Does seem like Super's going to come out on the Roadhog again. This might be to deal with Gesture. This might be anticipating perhaps a Sombra on the defense. But Gesture crushed it on Ilios, and one of his only decent counters is a Roadhog. You get a hook in there, you fire a lot of damage, the rest of your team there, you get Discord, and you can delete a Winston from the map.
Yeah, you shotgun him in the face. Oh! The headshot! Architect, that was so close. Ah, man, full charge. That's the thing. Not a full charge shot. It wasn't quite enough to do the deed there. Unfortunately, the payload is making progress, though. Sinatra keeping a presence on there as Gesture is going to be forced back. And so far, things looking up here for San Francisco Shock. Now they just need to find that decisive victory.
Yeah, defense will give up a lot of ground in situations like Route 66. This is generally where the first fights are going to happen, right on the corner of Big Earls here. Super looking for that hook. He's got it off cooldown. Does pull in Gesture.
That's what you're talking about, Hex.
Got to follow up from your team. There's got to be a Discord. I think he had the Harmony orb on him and not a Discord orb, so the team needs to follow up your hooks there. It's not the old hook where you can just absolutely crush people.
Yeah, although Super's he is going to get tossed right back up again. Takes a breather. Moth will get the res off on Sinatra, but they lose Architect. They lose Sleepy. And that might be the end here of this push here for San Francisco Shock. Super decided to go whole hog. Might be prompting a change when they come back.
Badoshan with the cleanup there. I mean, we talk so much about Jonak in this league, but Badoshan has been quietly killing it since stage 1, day 1. It's so good. We also have another Zenyatta, I think, in the top 5 of most stats, too. So a wealth of Zenyatta players on the London Spitfire team.
Yeah, but he's also just, like, super cheerful.
Yeah.
Always seems to be in high spirits, no matter what's going on. Badoshan just looks like a real cool cat. All right, let's get into it, though. It is going to be Prophet, kind of poking around here. Super just saying hello, showing that he's made the change to Winston. Great work together. Prophet and Gesture, the deadly duo. Hureg finds Moth as well. Yet again, that's going to spell disaster here for this push.
And Architect landed just a moment before Gesture did, so he's going to able to get that splash damage from landing on the jump pack. And right now, only a minute and 45 seconds remain for San Francisco. So far, the offense has been rather anemic. It would be an understatement because no one on London's died so far.
That is actually unbelievable. All right. Minute and a half left on the clock here for San Francisco Shock. And now they can see through walls. Maybe that'll actually prompt something here as Hureg is so close. And yes, there it is. The first kill for San Francisco Shock on this offense. Transcendence gets used just a hair too late there, but Hureg will get brought back to life. Mainly the Trans getting thrown into cover closer as he gets the res off. Architect puts a bullet through Prophet's head. That's solid work here. And then he's going to get punched in the face by Gesture. And he gets killed by Gesture, hands down.
Gesture is having himself a match, even by his great standards. They're able to take down Moth as well. This offense is over. It is time to go back home. No need to even throw this in there. Trying to get a late kill, but that's a pulse bomb that you would have liked on the reinitiation. No reason to even do damage there because you already had pulse bomb. So the call to retreat has to be harder to reset there. That fight had been over for a moment. We are under a minute.
Under a minute, 45 on the clock now for this push. And they're back together here now. Everybody rezzed up on San Francisco Shock side of things. Architect looking to get the same strong start that he had earlier. Could find the headshot here, but Hureg notices him just in the nick of time. Keeps himself alive. And now it's about the fight on the payload. They're getting close, San Francisco Shock. London Spitfire, their hand is going to get forced just a little bit. They have to keep it up here.
Super's going to jump in. He does not have his supports with him. That's a huge kill from Sinatra. Can Profit equalize here?
Oh.
The board's down. Sinatra has maybe won this offense for San Francisco.
I mean, but then Moth is dead as well. It is a bit of a back and forth. They managed to sneak it through. That mech doesn't count. That mech doesn't count as an active body for London Spitfire, and so they do manage to push through to victory, San Francisco.
They push it through while there's a self-destruct happening on the card. Haven't seen that in a bit. And this is the second point where London has struggled a little bit. They're going to need better Widow play to kind of force the offense back, but you see the tanks already trying to go to the back line. Nevix and Super, Sinatra all alone. There's no support there with them. They have the Harmony Orb, though.
Oh, cutting it close there, Sinatra. Not quite able to get it. He will get the stick on Gesture. That's a great kill. Gesture out of the fight now. Closer, he's in a resible position, but the boot from Nevix, the deny. Excellent work from Nevix. You can go for the res, sure, but if you're separated from the body far enough, the res gets canceled, and so Nevix, Johnny on the spot.
A great play. We'll see if Architect can take advantage of this, because the person shutting down Architect has not been Hureg. It has been Gesture. He's been all over him, and now with Gesture out of the mix, you can take these angles without having a big gorilla in your face.
Let's see. Architect now. There it is. Whoa, Doshin. That's a dangerous place to be, and it's going to be the dive on both sides. The Super goes primal, closer, pops the wings, trying to keep Doshin alive. Doshin will survive, and in the meantime, Gesture, he's in the back line. San Francisco Shock trying to go ham as well. He's just so focused on Architect, and Architect just can't get out of harm's way.
San Francisco threw nearly everything that they had into that fight, too. They're going to double down as the Transcend comes in. They want to continue fighting this one, but they're losing people still through the Transcendence. Nevix out of mech. Baby Diva, Blaster's good. It's not that good against giant tanks in your face. Nevix will fall eventually as well.
You can tell the prioritization is so different here. Man, massive AoE damage here for Gesture. Gesture just used Primal. He's already up to 73% again. That is crazy fast.
If you're trying to focus Gesture, Sinatra's done a great job the last two fights of hitting a stick onto Gesture and taking him down, but he's brought back to life.
Architect's died 5 times, Hureg's died twice.
Yeah.
And what, like at least 2 of those deaths for Architect is Gesture stomping him flat.
I mean, the big difference, though, is the supports are staying alive. The supports for London have only died once apiece, and that means if Closer's not dead, no one's really dead, because he's been getting these resurrections off. Last time they had a great knockoff of his res, but not going to happen there. And yet again, Super falls very early. These tanks very low. The supports are just not with the tanks with San Francisco right now.
And they're getting right on through. Hey, Architect, guess what? Gesture's here! Get out! Brutal. 10 seconds on the clock now for San Francisco Shock. They did get some payload progress, but unfortunately it's inching its way back to spawn. They're going to get one good push left. The Super's used the bubble to try and cover his team, but he gets focus fired so quickly. Not even a chance for him to get on that payload and contest.
Gesture, just another amazing stat line. 16 eliminations, 3 final blows. He tops the server in elims right now on the Winston. Really nice play. They started prioritizing. If you hit him with the pulse bombs, that's not even going to be an option next patch comes around.
Yeah. You're going to need to get that Discord orb on there.
That was so one-sided between Gesture and Architect. He was all over him the entire game. Got a little bit of help from his Tracer. But what's so interesting about Gesture, last map carrying over to this map, sometimes he's doing this alone. He's doing it alone against people. He's got his Diva with him on occasion, but there are times where he just goes and freelances, picks himself up, kill, jumps back into the fray. He's a Winston assassin.
All right, now, I mean, Architect has got 1 elim, 1 final blow. Gesture's definitely been shutting him down. 3 final blows for Gesture. You're pretty sure those 3 are Architect.
Yeah, I'm rather certain of it, actually.
Oh, that's a beast. All right, we're going to get into the flip now. 50 seconds before the action kicks off, and London Spitfire are going to have it on their hands. Now, I mean, that being said, San Francisco Shock on the defense, they've been very solid. London Spitfire, trying to get to difficult. There has been 1 point picked up here so far for San Francisco Shock. So let's see if London Spitfire now can get the job done on their offense.
Yeah, at a certain point, you wonder if Architect is going to switch to perhaps a Genji here. So it's just the Widow just hasn't been there, period. There's no other way to say it. I can't spin this in a positive direction. Architect's Widow has not been performing to the level that we expected it to do. We know he's got a decent Genji in his pocket. We'll see what other heroes he might run as well. And actually, on their defense before, Moth has run an Ana on this map before. It didn't work out greatly for him, but I just miss Ana. I'd like to see a little bit more Ana. And it'd actually be good against Gesture. At least you can sleep him.
You can sleep him, yeah. Get him out of the fight for 6 seconds and change. Let's say Prophet initially for the first peak.
Oh, I almost got my wish.
Yeah, he almost got that sleep off. That's clever. I like it. You know, I like seeing the Ana at least from spawn. You know, just go for the sleep dart. Maybe that screws them up. Maybe you can get an early kill and really start things off. But
I mean, at the very least, if you do it every time, it means that their scouting information is going to be late because D.Va can't just sit there. So if you get slept, that's over. Losing your D.Va early in a fight like this is really, really tough. So free push going to happen around the corner. You will see the brawl ensue. Architect does get a nice kill on Ocean. Prophet going down too means he's got Sophie's choice action for closer, and he chooses to die.
He chooses to die. Well, San Francisco helped him with that choice, influenced the choice. They're biased after all.
I say Sinatra's been playing very well on this map. It's looked very good for him. He was the bright spot of their offense, able to push through on Gesture several times. 3 minutes here as London goes back to the drawing board.
Let's see. Gesture getting a little bit of that presence on the high ground. Now you got Architects looking for an angle. So they come around the corner. Oh, so close.
He's got him with the Venom Mine. The Venom Mine allows him to see that Widow too, so that's why you see him waiting. Hureg was waiting to see if there was anyone else that he could go for while he was visible to the opposing Widow.
I'd say trying to sneak that payload forward a few meters at a time. Gesture keeping a presence on it, and in the back line, it is going to be Architect now getting that the wall hacks going as Gesture leaps in on him. Architect still suffering from PTSD the last time around.
Another great play from Sinatra, blinking through, knows his eye is on the prize there, not able to recall out, did not have it up in that situation. Now these trades are coming through. Is the resurrection going to be there for either side? It does seem like San Francisco is going to be able to hold this because it's only Prophet alive. And now we're down to about 2 minutes here. Offenses have struggled on first point.
Yeah, well, I guess because the support was not nice shot from Architect. But those supports probably dissuaded London Spitfire from going in for the push because Fury and Doshin were hanging around there on the edge.
Well, that really hurts to be found out like that as Prophet because he's thinking that he can hide and he's going to wait for his team and engage from an angle that they're not expecting. To be found like that, now they have to wait for him to reset. Yeah, Tracer's back in the mix real quick. That's a nice shot.
There you go. Hureg pops the infra site and
they're all over
down Architect.
Yeah.
Yep.
No resurrection.
No res, exactly. No res possible. He's really on the payload, so it's going to be tough here for Moth. He decides to get the wings going immediately. Moth preemptive valve, getting the train heals down, going to make it difficult to get any kills. As Sinatra does drop dangerously low, he will get the recall off, and now it's going to be Closer, properly staggering the ult. He'll have Val going for a while longer, and Hureg picks Moth out of the sky with a headshot.
Meanwhile, Jester's just an agent of chaos right now. He was back on the Zenyatta. He's all over Architect. Architect takes a brief moment to cap Hureg. That's nice consolation prize, but this one should be reaching first point. That's it. They get a time extension, 3:30 on the clock. After getting about halfway through, you see the white box on the ground. It's about just around the High Side Hotel.
Just around the bend. Well, Hureg, we'll see if they decide to change things up here going into the second point or not. As Prophet is currently on a mission right now. He's checked into the hotel. He's just waiting for him to bring up the bags. That or he just decides to blow it all up with the pulse bomb. Also possible, because look at this, right there. That's who he's looking for. Hey, guess what? You did! And Moth now, he's in a tight spot too. Gesture's there to capitalize. Sleepy gonna get run over as well. Gesture with the double, with the help of Prophet. And now you really need to just try and buy time here for San Francisco Shock because these guys, they've got a little bit of a ways to run to get back into this fight.
Prophet just daring them to turn around and duel him. That stick on the Widow. Then you had a Mercy and Zen there. A little bit surprised. The Zen, I think, was a little out of position. I'm able to throw some orbs at the Tracer. So maybe you can duel that. It's a 2v1. You're getting damage boosted and healed constantly as a Zen. You think you can maybe duel that one and then get the resurrection up. Not the case in this situation.
Let's say body shot. Now they know where where Architect is playing from at least. Valuable information there for Hureg. Fury just has kept a presence on this payload the entire time. They're putting themselves with their backs to the wall now. San Francisco Shock. They have to take this fight and win it cleanly. meter and a half left here for London Spitfire to close this out and get the 4-0 sweep versus San Francisco Shock. But Ocean finds a headshot on Sinatra. That's a strong start as well. And Hurek, no grapple to get out of there, but he is going to be able to back off.
They're putting constant pressure. Jester's got Primal Rage. He could win it for his team. Self-destruct comes off. They get off the points, and London Spitfire.
The verticality there is a little bit off, because I think Nevix was right on there, could have been contesting. That's where it gets a bit dicey sometimes as far as that point is concerned.
Yeah, it gets a little odd in those situations, but Jester had bought his time, waiting, had Primal Rage, and when you're inches away from closing it out and there's a Primal Rage Winston on there, I think Jester would have closed that one out anyway. A disappointing showing for the San Francisco Shock. They've been improving lately, but it looks like they came up against a revitalized London Spitfire.
Profit and Gesture really looking good. And then when you have Profit and Gesture, you can count on them, right? They are always going to have that high level. But then you had Hureg into the mix on top of it. Doshin had his moments as well, lending a hand in terms of the damage. I mean, yeah, London Spitfire looks very good today. So they still have matches to go here at this stage. The playoffs, maybe it is possible here, Hex.
Well, absolutely. Hureg was the big question coming in. The answer is there. Hureg is here to stay, played so well, and now they're going to get Birdring back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever.
Welcome back, everyone. A dominant performance by the London Spitfire against the San Francisco Shock. However, if we're looking stage 3 overall, it wasn't quite as dominant as what we're used to from London. What's been the struggle this stage around?
제시 선수 일단 오늘 샌프란시스코 쇼크 상대로 승리 굉장히 축하드립니다. 오늘은 굉장히 멋있는 경기력, 좋은 경기력을 보여주셨지만 스테이지 3 전체적으로 볼 때 좀 주춤하고 패배를 많이 쌓아가는 모습이 보였는데 이유가 무엇이라고 생각하시나요?
저희가 아무래도 이번 스테이지에 다른 1, 2스테이지 때보다 많이 부진한 모습을 보였는데 저희가 좀 팀적으로 뭔가 그냥 불안한 모습을 보였던 것 같아요. 그냥 잘 안 맞는 모습.
I think it's definitely true that we haven't been performing in stage 3. The results show that. I think overall we just haven't been harmonizing together as a team very well and had some difficulty during this stage.
So, what are you putting in place to improve on those issues?
그 문제점들을 보완하기 위하여 어떠한 행동을 취하고 계신가요?
아무래도 저희 일단 기본부터 다져야 되기 때문에 팀원들을 믿고 플레이하는 걸 생각했던 것 같아요.
Since it's very important to make sure your basics are all covered and really strong, I think we are right now we're trying really hard to make sure that the trust is instilled between each teammate.
All right. Now, playoffs are not completely impossible for you, but there is a lot of things which need to happen for the London Spitfire to still make it. So, prediction time. Which 4 teams will we actually see in the Stage 3 playoffs?
아직 플레이오프에서 런던이 완전히 셧다운된 건 아니지만 거의 못 간다고 보셔도 될 것 같습니다. 이제 제시 선수가 생각하실 때 어느 4팀이 스테이지 3 플레이오프까지 갈 것 같으신가요?
제가 보기에 플레이오프에 갈 4팀은 보스턴, 뉴욕, 글래디에이터 그리고 한 팀은 잘 모르겠네요.
I think it's going to be Boston, New York Gladiators, LA Gladiators, and I'm not sure about the last team.
All right. Well, I guess we will find out anytime soon, Gesture. Thank you so much for joining me down here on the floor. Please give it up again for him and the London Spitfire. So now, Puckett, please take it away. Let's talk about that game.
Thank you, Sully, and it's so great to hear from Gesture, one of my favorite players to watch. London comes in today and really just wrecks house. The 4-0 over the San Francisco Shock really is going to help them in the overall map count for the season, but also here in the stage standings, gives them a chance to stay alive. Let's take a look at the standings here, Crumbs, and reinforce. Walk me through, what are we seeing currently?
So London right now is sitting with 5 losses, which means the best thing they can do is finish 5-5, which means that they really need everybody else at the top to lose games. They have Dynasty and the Dragons. Dragons, you probably expect
2 winnable games.
2 very winnable games, but because you're 5-5, you're really just hinging on Florida Mayhem beating the Los Angeles Gladiators next week.
Probably
Absolutely.
Shanghai getting a win as well,
Yeah.
but
And as we take a look at San Francisco, we want to remind everybody, yes, you lost today, but you're not out of it completely. There's still a chance they can break in. They have to play the Outlaws and the Mayhem, though, next
I mean, they just have 4 losses, right? So they have an even better chance, and then they're playing the Florida Mayhem and the Houston Outlaws, as well, 2 very winnable games. Houston Outlaws, bit of a mid-table team this stage so far, so if you want to make the playoffs, I think they can beat the Houston Outlaws, but they'll have to.
I like that London started to heat up today a little bit, and as we take a look back, there's one player to look out for here in game number 3. As we go to Ilios, Prophet was turning it up for me. Crumbs, who are you keeping your eyes on?
Oh, Prophet, exactly. So for this map, I was looking at the DPS, but more specifically how they compared, because a lot of the time these DPS in Ilios will be playing the same thing, making it a lot easier for you to figure out who's doing what. And it turned out that the DPS on London Spitfire were just having another world performance.
Yeah, and there's something we don't really talk about, but Hureg on McCree is one of his better heroes. He went up against Surefour on the Gladiators the other day, and we know Surefour for a great McCree player.
Yeah.
But Hureg on the McCree, he just shot Architects Farah down, and then as well on the Widowmaker, we usually see him on. I think Ilios as a match fits him well, and as such, they got away with the win.
These shots on the Tracers are so impressive for me. Up close and personal, the Widow's getting the job done. Bajosian always doing his damage as the Zenyatta. Everyone from London seemed to take their turn chiming in today.
I mean, Hureg gets a lot of flack, but you know, it's just because he's not the god
He's
of
just
the
not
players,
murdering.
right? He's just not murdering. That's what it is. I mean, if you had this guy on any other team that wasn't at the top, you'd still say he's a great player.
Hureg was ripping face, and you saw at the end here, San Francisco getting off the cart. They got to be frustrated with the small mistakes today.
Absolutely, and it is these small mistakes that kind of haunt the San Francisco Shock. We went at it on Numbani as well. They could have capped point A. They could have even drew Numbani in many ways, but it is those small mistakes, and they have to work it out. This is the first stage. They're playing with Super and Sinatra, of course, Moth as well, a new support addition. So they have some time to figure things out. Maybe stage playoffs in stage 4. We'll see.
We'll see. Crumbs, now we are looking at 2 of the players' individual performance throughout this. Shout out to Blizzard IT. I love the beard, buddy. Prophet versus Sinatra was a big story for us. Sinatra, of course, the tracer for the Shock. Prophet, the guy that plays every other role possible on DPS.
Yeah, so a lot of the times you look at Sinatra and you're saying he's going to be the one that will keep Prophet in check, but I don't know what he was checking today because it was not good. Final blows, 13-3 on this map. It is just such a one-sided affair on the side of the London Spitfire, and it was a similar story between Architect and Hurek, so the map really going their way and sealing the 3-0 at least for them in just a very simple.
I mean, there's really nothing to say because the stats speaks for themselves.
Right? They're just so one-sided.
Yeah.
Prophet's pretty darn good at this video game that we have a league for here called Overwatch. All right, Johnny, I have a very special segment. It's Saturday. We're going to have fun today.
No.
And I know that you love your first name, your nickname, Johnny, and being on the spot. This is an old school Puckett speed round, and we're going to go ahead and throw 30 seconds on the clock. Are you prepared?
No, I got 4 hours of sleep. I am not ready.
Johnny, we're doing it anyway, baby. Let's kick things off in 3, 2, 1. Best player on London.
Prophet.
Best player on Shock.
Architect.
Most important role, tank, support, or DPS.
Main tank.
Your worst hero.
Not biased. What?
Your worst hero.
Sanyara.
Best hero.
Reinhardt.
Is hot dog a sandwich?
Yes.
Dive or counter dive?
Dive.
Number 1 reason to visit Sweden.
IKEA.
Favorite player.
Fisher.
Boxers or briefs?
Boxer.
Same question we asked Gesture. Who are the 4 teams to get into the playoffs?
Boston, New York.
Yeah.
You got 2 of them. 2 more.
2 more. I'll go with the Gladiators. And the 4th team, we don't really know, Puckett.
So not an answer. All right. At least Gesture. Well, no, you just pulled a Gesture. All
exactly.
right. We're gonna let it end there. Before we go, though, we have to crown, of course, our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. Who is it from the London Spitfire today, boys?
It is Hurek, actually. I was about to say Prophet. I wanted Prophet maybe, but Hurek, okay, realistically, he did not get shut down.
We gotta do crumbs on the spot.
You did me. You fooled me.
Oh, we're gonna get you, Crumbs.
I get myself all the time. Anyways, so Hurek was able to shut down Architect. This is what we looked into the game to be the weak point of the team. So this is why we gave it a player of the game. For being initially perceived as a weakness, shows up and actually becomes the biggest reason why
his numbers were so strong, and it wasn't just the Widow, his McCree looking great in that game 3. Hurek stepping up, filling in Birdring's shoes, and getting the job done keeps the hopes for the Spitfire alive.
What did you mean by hot dog is a sandwich?
Well, I told him that one. So
2 pieces of bread.
2 pieces of bread.
You got some meat. Is it technically a sandwich?
But what is it if it's not a sandwich?
A hot dog.
It's like a napkin for a weenier.
It can be both.
We're gonna keep this discussion going during the break. When we return, though, we got a great matchup for you. Seoul trying to stay in the playoff hunt. They're going up against a very tough New York XL in just a few.